Welcome back to the episode 35 of the FPL Sheeple podcast. We come to you after a huge double game week 26 where teams were scoring massive points all due to one man, and that was Mohamed Salah. His 26 points return meant that he was the highest triple captain scorer ever in FPL. But despite having Salah in our teams and despite having him as triple captain, we suffered quite a bit and got a bunch of red arrows, and we were absolutely, absolutely devastated by this outcome. I mean, despite having, what was seemingly the right team and, the right mix of players, even though I had reservations about a couple of them, it just ended up being massive red arrows for both me and Donatello. So yeah, that's why we had these blazing red arrows despite a blazing score and a blazing performance by Mo Salah. Uh, but it's okay. We move on and we take a look at game week 27 as well. So let's get into it. Right. So welcome everyone to the deadline episode of the FPL Sheeple. Again, we are very close to the deadline due to the short turnover. We are able to churn out an episode just before the deadline. And we start off very quickly by reviewing the Game Week 26 teams for the 20 FPL content creators who we follow. And the template team for them was quite different because there were a lot of wildcards that were played, surprisingly, in Game Week 26. I think after the announcements of the doubles in Game Week 28 and 30, a lot of content creators, decided to just go for the wildcard because their teams were not in a good place. And so they decided to pull the trigger and play the wild card, and that's why the template team this time round was very different, and they had a very different set of players. And obviously the teams that did not wildcard used the triple chip captain on Mo Salah, unsurprisingly. So Mo Salah was in all 20 teams and was captain for all 20 of them. Obviously, it's just that the wildcarders ended up getting just double his points rather than triple for the other players. So it turned out the wildcarders did not really gain a lot of advantage in this game week, but I'm sure in the next upcoming game weeks they're well set for the doubles in 28 and 29, and actually the blank in 30, not the double in 30. There's a lot of blanks in game week 30, so that's why they're pretty well set. I think for the others who did not wildcard, I'm sure they're going to pull the trigger, if not this week, in the next game week. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on it throughout. So yeah, so other players, looks like Saka was another player who's now popped up in the template team. So has Son, because they have good fixtures and doubles all around. And so is Rafinha. Rafinha is back despite him not scoring much. I mean, he scored against United in the second half, but against Liverpool he blanked. But he's a generally good asset to have, and that's why he's in the team. Raul Jimenez was a popular pick. I went for Weghorst instead, because I was hoping to capitalize on Game Week 27 and the Burnley double in Game Week 27. So I just trusted Weghorst and kept him. Jimenez turned out to be an okay option. Got some points in the first match, but ended up blanking in the second one. So yeah, I also got a yellow card. So Jimenez turned out to be not such a great pick, at least for Game Week 26. But again, Wolves have doubles again soon. So seems like a pick who had fixtures in every game week, and that's why he ends up being popular and a template pick. So yeah, triple Arsenal seems to be a template pick for now, and Arsenal have great fixtures except in game week 27. And because Arsenal and Liverpool don't have fixtures in game week 27, I think a lot of content creators are also playing their free hit chip in game week 27. So we'll take a look at what the popular free hit picks are. And as we approach the deadline, and if we hit deadline towards the end of this stream, we'll take a look at what the teams from the different content creators are. So we'll visit Twitter and take a look at that. Right. So moving on into our own teams and how we did in game week 26. Starting off with my team. As I said at the beginning of the episode, we had triple captain Salah, and that meant that I ended up getting 120 points, and I had taken a -8, so 112 was my net score. But unfortunately, for once you are in the clouds, in the thin air, up in the atmosphere of the higher ranks, it turns out that you have to perform really consistently and score massive points every week so as to keep in those ranks, or if not, move up. So for me, despite this triple digit haul, I was 16 points away from what is called a safety score. So the safety score is something that you can find out on livefpl.net, which is a great website on which you can take a look at your live ranks as the game week progresses. As soon as there's a goal scored, you can go onto livefpl.net, put in your FPL ID, and after a couple of minutes, the scores are automatically updated, and the rank for your team is also estimated. So really beautiful website to keep a track on. Sort of plays with your blood pressure a bit. So it's not always healthy to keep checking the website all the time. So yeah, but it sort of helps you keep track of how your game week is going, and gives you some sort of hope, and as well as gives you wishful thinking. You wish that the next set of matches recover the points that you lost in the earlier matches and so on. So yeah, it's a really nice sort of website that, at least for me, I keep going to while the matches are going on. As soon as goals are scored, it's always nice to get an idea of what that means in the FPL context. So yeah, the safety score essentially is a score which tells you how many points you needed in this game week so as to not get a red arrow. And for me, unfortunately, I got 16 points less than that, which meant I got a massive red arrow, and I went from 80k down to 110k. So I'm out of the 100k within no time. All this effort that was spent in the past few weeks getting up to the 80k mark and feeling comfortable in the top 100k. As soon as I got comfortable, I've been sort of brought down to earth. But yeah, as I said in last week's episode, I wasn't quite happy with a couple of picks in my team, and so I think it turned out to be true. It turned out that the likes of Lucas Moura, Edward, even Luca Dean turned out to be not so great, and even my bench is not so strong. So yeah, I think it's time to sort of overhaul the squad a bit, at least for the coming game weeks. Otherwise, I'll lose too much ground. So yeah, right now I'm just 5 points away from the 100k, so that's not too much. As you can see, the way I lost 16 points in one game week, it's possible to gain 16 points in another. So we'll take a look at what we do in the upcoming game weeks so as to save our ranks a little bit. But yeah, nothing too much to shout about. Out of the 112 points I got, 84 came from Salah, so, and 14 from Weghorst. Everyone else almost pretty much blanked. So yeah, so nothing too much to shout about here. Then looking at Donatello's team, unfortunately, Donatello also suffered a similar fate as me. He ended up getting 117 points and a net score of 109 because he took a -8. But again, for him and the rank he was at, his safety score was 125, which means again he also was 16 points short of keeping his own rank and not getting a red arrow. But unfortunately he did, so he's dropped down from 157k to 202k. So a little bit of a slide for Donatello in the past few game weeks, but I'm sure he's going to bounce back. I'm sure he's itching to play his wild card in the upcoming game weeks, so that he just overhauls the squad and brings it back uh, to the normal state. For him, especially, the problem was there were a lot of points on the bench, and we discussed this a bit last week, where we were discussing whether a bench boost for his team might be okay. But I think not triple captaining Salah was a major risk. So even if he had not triple captain Salah and put a bench boost, I think he would have just been 6 points better off, and that's by my calculations. So that's not much. It's still not enough to prevent his red arrow. So it's just it is what it is. His starting team did look okay, but I'm sure he is now itching to overhaul the squad and get in the right picks, at least for the next few game weeks, where there are quite a few doubles and blanks which we need to navigate through. So yeah, so Dennis and Salah were the main points grabbers for him, and nothing much to shout about elsewhere across the pitch. Right, and then let's take a look at how the content creators did in Game Week 26. And the winner for Game Week 26 was Rich Davies from the FPL Surgery podcast, who got a massive total of 151 points, and he had just taken a -4. So that was a net score of 147. That was just amazing. And lo and behold, the most amazing pick here is Sadio Mane and his 26 points that quickly propels Rich on the top of our charts. Otherwise, he had 4 players that gave him just 1 point. So you can imagine he scored most of his points, close to 145, 147 points from just 7 players. That's amazing. And yeah, he had the likes of Dennis, Saka. He had Jimenez as well. So yeah, just an amazing mix of players. And yeah, that's why his triple captain play and this team gave him such a high score. So that was just amazing for this game week. And apart from Rich Davies, we also take a look at the teams from all the other content creators who we follow on this podcast. And in order to compare the teams, we prepare a spreadsheet every game week. This spreadsheet is eventually linked in the description of the video and the audio versions of the podcast. So feel free to navigate to these links and scrolling around the spreadsheet yourself. We feel it's a really useful resource for people who really want like a gist of all the great picks according to these 20 FPL content creators. So it will give you an idea of the pool of players that are in the starting 11s of these teams, and maybe gives you an idea of which are the good players to have in your own team. For us, we take a look at obviously the game week points and the overall rank and the total points of the content creators. We take a look at which chip they played, and as I said already at the beginning, 9 of them played a wild card in game week 26, and the remaining played a triple captain. All of them had Salah captain. And then in the spreadsheet we have all the picks from the starting 11s of these 20 content creators, but the picks are arranged by the frequency with which they occur across the 20 teams. So like, for example, Salah is in all 20 teams, so he's the first player. Then Trent is in all 20 teams, he's the second player. Then Ramsdale is in 16 teams, so he's the third most popular player. And as you move to the right of the spreadsheet, you will see players that were picked by less and less teams, and therefore potentially differential for the different content creators, just like how Rich had Mane in his team, and he was probably the only one who got 26 points, and that set him apart. So yeah, so this is a spreadsheet that we take a look at every game week, just to get an idea of where the hive mind of these content creators is at. And then we also take some key takeaways, sort of retrospective takeaways of what set the different teams apart from each other. So let's take a look at the spreadsheet takeaways for me for this game week. So I typically look at the range of points, and this week it was between 109 to 147. And in fact, I mean, obviously, as we saw, Mane, Saka, uh, and I think Dennis were the type of picks, uh, you know, which set Rich apart. Uh, in fact, what I noticed was from the spreadsheet takeaway that not having Ramsdale or Jimenez was the thing that pushed the teams on at the top, pushed the teams to the top. So the top teams didn't have Ramsdale, and some of them didn't have Jimenez. I think instead they had either Weghorst, who got the 14 points, and instead of Ramsdale, I think there were single game week keepers, or rather double game week keepers, that got more points. I think De Gea was another popular pick, so he got some points. And then yeah, that's why not having Ramsdale and Ramsdale's double, and unfortunately Arsenal conceded in both their matches. The first match was just a pity that they conceded, so Ramsdale owners were frustrated and didn't end up getting the clean sheet. So yeah, for that's why Ramsdale, even though he was the template keeper, the teams that didn't have Ramsdale instead turned out to be on top. Other differentials, so normally FPL Donatello looks at the differentials every game week, so I decided just sort of to have that as part of the podcast as well. I noticed that Semedo, Robbo, Kane were all differentials. So Semedo got 10 points, Robertson got 13, and Kane got 12 points with an amazing performance against City. Surprisingly, against City, Tottenham turned up, only to go away and then lose to Burnley. So that was really odd. So yeah, these three were differentials that set the teams apart, especially the teams towards the top of our spreadsheet. So yeah, so these were the main key takeaways. There weren't many takeaways for the future, except the fact that the 9 wildcards were in play, and so at least we got an idea of what are the popular wildcard picks. And we noticed that triple Arsenal, triple Liverpool, Wolves players, Wolves defenders. I think the Southampton forwards like Broja and the defender like maybe Walker Peters or Livramento were part of the squads. And I think even Newcastle assets are coming into the wildcard squads, just as bench rotation, I mean, picks that basically defend rotations and things like Pep Roulette. So anyway, so yeah, those were the picks that I could at least notice in the wildcard picks. So that's nice to know what the wildcard team looks like already. If we had to wildcard in the next game weeks or so, then it's nice to know where the content creators are at with regards to the wildcard pick. So maybe we can use that in the future. So that was another key thing that I could see from the spreadsheet as well for the future. All right, so then let's come to our creator of the week for game week 27. So Rich Davies, as I said, won the game week with a massive score, and so he's our creator of the week. So we will talk about his history and take a look at his picks. What transfer suggestions he's made, and then we just make those changes in our own team. So Rich is part of the FPL Surgery podcast. He is a co-host on it, and he also is a part of the Fantasy Football Hub and writes articles on there. Rich has a current rank of 10,551, so playing really well and going really well this year as well. He's played FPL for 9 seasons already, with his best rank being close to 4,000 in 2018-19. And he has an amazing history with top 10k finishes in 4 seasons, top 50k finishes in 2 other seasons, and top 250k finishes in 2 other seasons. So he is finished in the top 250k in 8 of the 9 seasons he's played so far. And really, really amazing history, and he's playing really well this game week. So we're really glad to have him as a creator of the week for this game week. So last week, the FPL Surgery recorded a double podcast where they previewed Game Week 26 and Game Week 27 together. So in that, I think Rich Davies was already fixated with the idea of using the free hit chip in Game Week 27, and therefore he focused on suggesting just a free hit team, or at least the free hit team that he is going to go with. And for him, the goalkeeper was an obvious choice. It was Nick Pope with the Burnley double, and he's a really good points accumulator. He makes a lot of saves, and apparently he also gathers a lot of bonus points. So Nick Pope is an obvious choice for goalkeeper. In defense, Rich suggested Cancelo. Cancelo is a no-brainer. Livramento from Southampton, who has a good fixture against Norwich, and Tarkowski, another Burnley defender with the doubles. So he really likes Tarkowski's aerial threat, even though, I mean, so they recorded before game week 26 happened. So Ben Mee ended up scoring a goal for Burnley, but Rich reckons Tarkowski's aerial prowess is also good, and he's a good pick. In midfield, Rich suggested something really awesome. It's Kevin De Bruyne, Riyad Mahrez, Bruno Fernandes, and Son. So just a heavy midfield, but with, I would say, really amazing picks. Mahrez is tipped to start. So there are online there are people on Twitter, especially reliable people who gather together information from the different forums of Man City and reliable sources who predict the starting 11, or at least know something about them. And from that you can get some idea about who is going to start. And Mahrez and KDB are at least sure shot to start. So Rich has suggested them, and that sort of makes sense. Bruno has a good game against Watford, so he's a suggested pick. And Son obviously is a good pick to have, obviously playing against Leeds. And in the forwards, Rich suggested Weghorst, Broja, and one of either Wood from Newcastle or Tony from Brentford. So this is the free hit team that he suggested, and for captaincy he fancies Son or Bruno, either of them, whoever he ends up having in his team. I think he prefers Son a little bit more than Bruno, but yeah, these are his suggestions. So yeah, here at Sheeple, we typically go with the suggestions and the tips from the creator of the week, and that's exactly what we've done. So starting off with Donatello's team, and Donatello has used his second free hit as well, and no surprise, he's absolutely followed Rich Davies' suggestion to a T, and he has Chris Wood starting as well. And Son is his captain, De Bruyne is his vice captain, which I don't think matters much. So just reading out his team: Nick Pope in goal, Livramento, Cancelo, and Tarkowski, Bruno, De Bruyne, Son, and Foden. So Donatello still believes Foden is a better pick than Mahrez. So I guess he's not followed Rich Davies to a T, but almost to a T. Then Broja, Wood, and Weghorst are his forward picks. On his bench, he has Foster, Bowen, Kilman, and Dean. So yeah, the bench is not really important, but yeah, his starting 11 seems to be pretty good. And I think for a free hit game week 27, I think this is one of the best sort of teams out there. Even if you take a look at on scroll on Twitter, which we'll do in a couple of minutes as the deadline approaches, and we'll take a look at what the different content creators have done with their own teams. Then coming to my own team, I think for me, I have also done something similar to Donatello. I have made almost all the same picks as Rich suggested, except one difference where I am playing Joe Willock instead of Chris Wood, because Willock seems to be a little bit in form and hopefully ends up scoring a lot against Brentford. So for me, my team is Nick Pope in goal, Livramento, Cancelo, Tarkowski. In midfield, I have Mahrez, Fernandes, Son, captain, De Bruyne, Willock, Broja as my forward, and Weghorst who's my vice captain instead of Bruno. I was thinking of having vice captain Bruno, but I want a double game week player as a vice captain if it comes to that. On my bench, I have Raya, Wood, Dallo, and Kilman. Again, just to fill it up. Uh, I don't expect too many substitutions or automatic substitutions to be in play. So yeah, so quick and crisp episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Uh, and yeah, now we are just 1 minute away from the deadline. So what I'm going to do is just going to uh, just going to take a look on Twitter and see where we are at and what the different content creators are doing. So just give me a moment and I can do that. Till then I have I'm just taking a look at on Twitter. Let's see where we are at. So I have this special list prepared where it is basically following uh, just the 20 content creators who we follow in the FPL Sheeple. So let's take a look at the teams. So FPL General has posted his team. He has gone for free hit, but he's gone for double Burnley defense and not Nick Pope. So Foster is his keeper, Cancelo, Tarkovsky, me, Sterling and Mahrez, Bruno, Son, obviously Broja, Weghorst is his captain and Kane his vice captain. So he's managed to bring in Kane and yeah, I think he didn't put in uh, Kevin De Bruyne, I think, so as to afford Kane, and also probably Foster as a cheap keeper so that he can afford Kane. He really wanted the Son and Kane double up. Ben Krillin has also went for Son and Kane, and therefore he has to compromise and not have Nick Pope, and he also doesn't have Ben Mee. So he has Tarkovsky and Roberts as the double Burnley defense, and Weghorst is his captain as well. I believe Weghorst is going to be a really popular captain pick this game week. So looks like for Ben Krillin, Weghorst is the captain, Kane and Son, Mahrez and Sterling as well for him, not De Bruyne, Bruno obviously, Cancelo, Broja. So yeah, I can see a pattern developing here already. FPL Focal has has rolled the transfer, has not played any chip at all. That's amazing. He's kept his free hit and triple captain, and he's not used his triple captain so far. I think he did a wild card last week, if I'm not wrong. Let me check that. FPL Focal. Yeah, he went for a wild card, so he was, I think, already planning these things. So for him, he has Nick Pope, Ben Mee, he has Son, he has Weghorst as his captain, and he's gone for he just 9 players playing in his team. So Saka and Tierney are in his starting 11, but they don't play, and his bench also does not play at all with the triple Liverpool on his bench. So wow, that's really bold. His overall rank is 167, so he's, I think, ready to take the red arrow for this game week. At least he says that, but unless his picks just end up scoring a lot of points. FPL Harry has, if I'm not wrong, also he hasn't said whether it's a free hit. Let me check if it's a free hit for him. FPL Harry, yeah, he didn't play a wild card last week, so looks like yeah, he's gone for a free hit, obviously. He doesn't have a, yeah. So I think Kane and Son, people who've picked Kane and Son have decided to not have Nick Pope in goal. I think that's fair because Crystal Palace and Leicester could end up scoring, but again, Burnley defense double is always there. So I feel Harry also has Tarkovsky and me, and yeah, so that's a double Burnley defense. He has Sterling and Mahrez. Again, Sterling and Mahrez, that's very interesting. I think because Rich recorded last week, Kevin De Bruyne seemed like the pick that he suggested, and then this week I think Sterling is back in the mix. He's in terrific form, so it's possible he's going to score big. But yeah, Sterling Mahrez seems to be the preferred Man City double up, and also Sterling is at least a million cheaper or almost a million cheaper than De Bruyne. I think that frees up cash to have Kane and Son. So let's take a look at so far. Oh my God, it's the same team. So Pope, me, Cancelo, Walker Peters. That's a nice shout. Son, Sterling, Fernandez, Mares, Weghorst, captain, Kane, and Broja. That's unbelievable. And let's see who else. Do we see more? Uh, FPL Nima has done a -4, not a free hit. That's good. That's very interesting. So he has got in Weghorst and captained him, and he's got in Broja as well. So his team is De Gea in goal, Dallo, Cancelo, Dawson, Williams, Brandon Williams. Okay, that's interesting. Bowen, Son, Foden, Weghorst, Broa, Jimenez. I mean, that's a good team. I don't think this team requires a free hit, I think so. But anyway, I think he has that. I think he's already played his one free hit before, and so he needs to pocket his second free hit for the next game weeks. Who else? Do we have anything from Rich himself? So as from F Scout or FPL Black Box has also not used this free hit. This is really interesting. I really enjoy when content creators are not doing the same thing. It's a little bit different. He's not free hitting. He's also done the -4. He has gotten Son and Weghorst obviously for Salah and King, and I'm sure he's going to wildcard soon or get back Salah in the next game week. I think that I can see that for him. It's a good team. It's a really good team. He has all 11 players potentially playing. Jacob Ramsey, he has Livramento, Dean, Cancelo, De Gea, Bruno, Son, Foden, Jimenez, Weghorst. Yeah, Weghorst captain. Weghorst captain is really an interesting outlook. I think going for a double game week captaincy pick is an obvious thing. Uh, so yeah, I think Weghorst is going to be way above 100 EO. So yeah, that'll be really interesting. So we'll see. FPL Salah gone for a free hit. So he has Weghorst, captain, Kane, and Son again, which means Mahrez and Sterling. This is just. I mean, I think we're probably going to have the same this point in the next game week review. Is that to have Kane and Son, you must have Sterling and Mahrez, and you can't afford KDB. Uh, that's very interesting. What else do we have? Okay, FPL Heisenberg. Not using his free hit. Chip Bowen to Ward Prowse and rolled the second transfer. So he's two free transfers. He decided to roll the second transfer. Vegas captain, Tarkovsky as well. And yeah, Bruno, Broja, Ward Prowse, Cancelo. Interesting picks. Who else? Who else is FPL Tips has also played a free hit. He has the double Burnley defense and Kane and Son, which means Sterling and Mahrez. Wow, this is just interesting. But yeah, I'm fine with the Kevin De Bruyne pick. Despite I think that means that one can have Kane, uh, but it's okay. I guess KDB and Mahrez and Cancelo plus Broja, Weghorst, and I have Willock. So yeah, I know Willock is not in the same league as Kane, but it's fine. I'm happy with my team and what Rich suggested. I didn't, you know, talk a lot or think a lot about whether it's the right or wrong thing to do. Uh, Andy, let's talk FPL. And yeah, Kane and Son, Sterling and Mahrez. Pope. He managed to get in Pope, which means because he got Sancho instead of Bruno, and Vegas is captain. Wow, Vegas captain. I think Vegas is going to be the most popular captain pick, which means my pick of Son and Donatello's pick of Son might be is a differential captain pick for sure. So we'll see how that goes. That will be really interesting to follow. I think staying off live FPL this game week is going to be a much better thing to do than look at it all the time. Uh, let's see. Anyone else? Any other content creators who are putting up their teams? I don't think so. Let's take a look at if Rich has put something up. I'll just quickly check that, and if just finally to check that so that we know what he did and if we did the same thing. Here you go. Ha! We should have probably visited Twitter before we locked in our transfers. So Rich has also put up his free hit team. He has Kane and Son, which means drum roll, Sterling and Mahrez. You guessed it right, and Weghorst is his captain. So content creators are really doing the same thing. The template team is going to be this exact team. I'm sure of it. Weghorst captain, Kane, Son, Sterling, Mahrez, Cancelo, Bruno, uh, and I think Tarkowski, me, one of them at least, and Broja. So this is going to be a template team. I can tell you for sure now itself. We don't have to probably look at it in the next episode. So uh, wow. So Rich has gone with something different, obviously, because he's updated his thought process since last week, obviously. Uh, and he also actually changed his team within a few seconds, because I can see a few minutes before he had posted a team with a very different makeup, and or was it someone else's team? No, it's his team. Yeah, he made last minute changes. That's amazing. But yeah, none of them were with KDB. Anyway, it is what it is. We are at the mercy of the content we receive in time. It's almost impossible to operate close to the deadline like this and be on the edge. I don't think I can click that fast, or at least process decisions that fast. So I think it is better for me or for the podcast, for both of us to know beforehand what the suggestions are, and we just make it and we see what happens. So it's okay, these differences are going to absolutely happen uh, given the format of our podcast, and we always acknowledge this when the season begins. So it's interesting. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping that it turns out to be a bit differential and different from the typical free hit uh, free hit template team that's going to be out there. And hopefully, I mean, obviously this is just 20 FPL content creators who've done something very similar. Hopefully, compared to all the other FPL players around our ranks, what we are doing is very different, and helps us uh, get a lot of points and gain back 16 points that we lost in the last game week is sort of a good amount of points that you can recover in a free hit. So a free hit should typically give you an advantage of 15 to 20 points over the rest of the players in your rank. And so yeah, let's see if we can at least get those 16 points back, so that we are back inside the 100k, at least in my case, and Donatello can start moving in the direction of the 100k. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So good luck to everyone uh, who is listening, and yeah, hopefully you all also um, yeah, hopefully all of you get good amount of points. If you're playing a free hit, I hope you get to recover your scores, and yeah, we'll see We'll see how it goes for us. And then I guess that's it. That's it from this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed another deadline episode, and I hope you find what we do really useful. I'll put up the links for the spreadsheet uh, and the description a little later. And yeah, we'll see you before double game week 28. We'll see what we can do, and maybe it'll be time to play the wildcard finally. So we'll see how it goes for us. So yeah, so good luck everyone. Good luck with your free hit. If you're not free hitting, don't worry. I'm sure you have a good team. Hope you get a good score. So it's good luck and goodbye from me. Goodbye.